Hello, it's me and Andy again. I'm starting off today. We just wanted to follow on from the last video about once we got to Zimbabwe. We talked about last time getting there. We arrived with two of our children and about 8 suitcases. And we arrived to an empty house with just beds in it and just our 8 suitcases. So you can imagine the work that we had to do to get the house ready for all of us to be able to live in it. We were very blessed to have this house. God gave us a way to be able to buy the house. And so we ended up spending some money on getting the swimming pool up and running. Having 2 teenage boys, we felt it was a good idea to have the facilities to be able to use. So that was our initial job, that was to get the house sorted. We were shopping every single day, trying to find bits and bobs to go in there. Wasn't easy, furniture over there, it wasn't easy to get, but that's what we did. Within a few weeks, once we'd acclimatised, we started to volunteer in the project, mainly me. Andy will explain the reason why in his bit, but it was mainly me. We had a vehicle, we bought a vehicle, and I was able to go and work alongside all the staff over the next 6 months to a year, where I would take the vehicle and I would go out and about with each one of the staff. So I was doing 4 or 5 days a week. One day I would go out with the OVC officers who work with the children, and I would take them visiting. We would visit the children and their families. This was quite tough at times because some of the things that we found during this time wasn't always easy. And you, as some of you may know me, you know that I like to fix things. And one of the hardest things for me throughout this journey was not being able to fix all the things that was going on. The other department was support groups. I worked alongside a lady there where we went and visited people living with HIV. They ran support groups for these people. So we would often do visiting of the support groups, and often we would even cater and do workshops for these people. On one occasion, you won't believe, I actually peeled and cut up 20 butternut squashes. Well, my hands were bright orange by the end of this, and that lasted for some time. And the other area was Shining Stars. This is where we worked alongside women, prostitutes, and we were obviously trying to retrain them to be able to stop that kind of line of work and to rebuild their lives in another way. Me and Andy actually ended up running a business for about 18 months with 5 of the Shining Star ladies, where they did sewing, and we were able to sell their things that they made. There was lots of complications with that, and maybe one day we will share maybe more detailed information along those areas. I really enjoyed this, as I explained earlier, some of the downside of it was when I found things that were happening that I couldn't resolve. And this was quite difficult for the type of character that I was. So in a minute, Andy's going to do the next little bit. He's going to explain to you what he did during this time, and then I will come back after Andy and explain to you what we did next. Thank you.
We had a lot of trouble getting our visas for Zimbabwe, and in the end it was an application for a study visa that unlocked the door. The only issue, I suppose, with that was that when we got to Zimbabwe, I had to fulfill that. I had to do some study. And I went to the Theological College of Zimbabwe to do that. They've been very supportive with the visa application, and it was a good experience of learning for me, never having done any formal theological study in the past. So all in all, it worked well, but it did take a lot out of my working week. I really spent a lot of time in those first months looking at the funding. We'd been told by the project that the things that we'd said we thought we'd like to do and that needed to be done, that they'd agreed needed to be done, that we really needed to raise our own funds to bring that to a reality. And we'd got some residual funds when we first arrived there, but they were dwindling and I could see that they were going to run out before long. And I came up with the idea of what became known as the 2050 Club, which was a group of people that I pulled together giving £20 a month, and we said that we'd like them to do that for a year, and during that time we'd so inspire them with what we were doing that they would be prepared to commit for further years. And it's still going today. I reached out to family, to friends, to business associates, to friends of friends, gradually widening the network, looking for 50 people or organisations to fulfil that function. And we've done very well out of that over the years. And as I say, it's still going today. But my other role mainly was to do with the application of the money within Zimbabwe. And it was very interesting that whereas I'd taken very much the lead in getting us to Zimbabwe and in what was done when we were going on short-term mission trips earlier in the decade, and now suddenly things were changing, and Ruth very much took the lead from really very shortly after we first put our feet on the ground in Zimbabwe. It became it became something that was where a visionary was needed and someone with a lot of practical drive and a lot of practical skills. And I really held the purse strings and made sure that when people came to me needing money, there was money there available, both that it had been raised in the first place and it was available in the right currency that we could deploy to our advantage. That was really the main part of what I did. But I did do something practical when I was there. During the first year, we were tasked with putting a computer suite into a school, and we were going to share this with the school. So the school was going to get benefit from it. It was a secondary school, and we also as a project were going to get benefit from it as well. And along with my son Alex, I was able to assist with that. He provided all the techie experience, but I provided the transport to continually get him over to where he needed to be, and also all of the just putting wires, put that wire here and do that over there and switch that on and do that, and I did all those kinds of things as well, and it was a great experience. And we built up a good rapport with the school, which lasted for a long time, and the school were very good to us, and I think they felt that we were very good for them. It was a good relationship that we had. And during the time of that computer suite, many children and some adults learned some basic skills in computers, which really is a life skill that you need in the modern world. So I did do that one practical thing, and I helped out a little bit with other things, but most of my time in Zimbabwe was spent metaphorically and often literally behind a desk.
Okay, well, I'm back again. I hope Andy's bit was interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure I will do. As some of you may well know, we ended up, after about 18 months of living out there, we ended up purchasing a site of 3 acres, which is a hectare of land. It was given to us by the council, and it was absolutely full of rubbish and dumped things. So we spent the next 6 months with me hiring local people and getting volunteers to clear the site. 17 truckloads was taken away from that site. The council were very good and generous, and they gave us the trucks for free. The man drove it to us, we filled it up, and they took it away. I then got I got an architect in, and we drew up plans for buildings and other things for the site. And during the next a year, I was able to push through the planning permission. This is very difficult out there, and in fact I was told that I would not be successful without paying bribes, but I'm going to tell you today that I managed it, so I'm very proud of that part of it. We fenced the whole site. We built a 5-a-side fenced football pitch and a volleyball pitch and a netball pitch on site, and we also built one shelter. And from that we started using it, or the project did. We also dug 2 long drop toilets where we had to dig 8 feet of depth, and then built a shelter over the top of it so we could have facilities for that. And we also planted trees and plants just to make it a little bit more homely, but also hopefully the trees will become big enough to supply shelter. We also purchased a big marquee, and this in fact lasted 3 years. We were very chuffed with that because the terrain out there is quite harsh. And this was used for kids clubs and workshops, but also on a Sunday for church. So this was quite hard work, and we also was able to put electricity on site. That took 32 visits to the electricity place in Bulawayo to get that put in site. On site, and from there we have been able to run all sorts of things. And one day I will bring the pictures and the boards back to church, and so people can have a look. But we run youth clubs, kids clubs, workshops, support groups. But recently we have also run education support. Most of these children don't go to school, but if they do go to school, there's nowhere for them to do their homework. Most families live in one room in a house share. And so we've supplied them with areas where they can come and not only do their homework, but also we use teenage kids that can't go on to university or get a job because of finances and lack of jobs. And they come on site and they actually teach these children all the different subjects. I could go on for a long time talking about all what we have done over there. And there are some heartbreaking stories as well as very, very positive stories. And so maybe in time we will get maybe some newsletters out that you'll be able to read about some of the stories that we have done. Some of you may even have a book that we produced recently of the newsletters. But I also will invite you to always feel free to ask me to share with you some of my experiences that we did over there. So I just want to thank you for listening. This is part 2. The next video that comes out after this will be Malcolm and Ghislaine, and then hopefully David and Gail. And we've also got some people who have shared their experiences also to be able to put them on this site as well. So thank you for listening, and I want to say a goodbye. Thank you, bye.